I think a lot of times people go to a financial advisor, and we've heard over the years that some people are intimidated sometimes to talk to a financial advisor or a financial planner. They think it's going to be all about numbers and about standard deviation and about asset allocation. And the sad part is that a lot of times that's what happens. You walk into a financial advisor's office and they hand you a questionnaire. It's called the risk profile questionnaire, and it's all about how you feel about the markets and what you would do in certain conditions. And there may be a place for that at some time in the planning process, but it really is not where the planning should begin. The numbers are a part of it, but it really comes down to what we talked about today, and that is some of these questions that have to be answered. One thing I like to look at retirement just in general. Retirement in general to me means making work optional. So some people may or may not want to retire. Your goal may be to work the rest of your life, but I believe as a financial planner, everyone should be in a position where work is optional. Sometimes you may not have the option. You may be in a place where physically or health reasons you can't work anymore. So you want to prepare and plan for a time in the future that work is optional. And so what we have to answer is three key questions when we're looking at how do we make work optional in the future? So number one is, these are the three big questions that have to be answered to put together a retirement income plan that leads to peace of mind. Number one is when. When would you like to retire? There is no such thing as a retirement income plan without knowing when. So we have to start somewhere. So you could dream big. You could say, hey, I want to retire when I'm 62. I want to retire when I'm 65, 70. There is no right or wrong age at which to retire, but we have to start with a date in mind, and then we can plan for that number. So number one, when would that ideally be? Okay, and if we need to change it, based on the outcomes of this, then we can change it. But we start with when. Number two, what does retirement look like to you? And this is what Marvin mentioned just a second ago. What does retirement look like to you? And this is an important question because this looks different for everyone. A lot of people would like me as a financial planner just come up here on the board and write a number and say, if you reach this number, if you add up all your assets together and equals this number, everything's going to be okay. I would love to be able to do that, but the reality is that number is different for everybody watching this video. There is a number for everybody, but that number is really based on this. So when I talk about what does retirement look like to you, that means, we meet some of our clients that they spent their whole careers traveling. They were traveling they're on the road all the time. So retirement to them looks like, hey, I've got a great backyard. I'm going to take care of my yard. I've got a swimming pool. I'm going to hang out here. I'm going to go to the country club. I'm going to play golf. Whatever that is, that's some people. Some people, they worked 9 to 5, 40 hours a week, all these years, and they weren't able to travel. So retirement to them looks like, hey, we're going to do a lot of traveling. Some people have grandkids that are spread out all over. Some people want to go RVing, and some people want to just relax. It doesn't matter what it is, but what does matter is what does it look like to you. That's going to be important to determine what you want to do in retirement, because it leads to the third question that has to be answered, and that is, how much will that cost? So in other words, everyone's retirement plan has a different number. So if you're going to do a lot of traveling, you may need more income in retirement. If you're going to be staying home, taking care of the pool and the grandkids, you may not need as much. So you have to look at it and say, when do I want to retire? What am I going to do during retirement? What are my expenses going to be? And so we have a very simple worksheet that we use to help people determine how much income they're going to need. And we really break it down into two levels of expenses. There are what we call lifestyle expenses, and there are living expenses. So living expenses are those are the bills that have to be paid. How much is going to take per month just to pay the bills, to make sure your real estate taxes are paid, and your car insurance, and your utilities and food and groceries and eating out. Those are living expenses. Everyone should know how much it's going to take every single month just to survive in retirement. No one should be allowed to retire without knowing how much is it going to take every month just to pay all the bills. But most people that we work with and help in retirement don't just want to pay the bills in retirement. They want to do this fun stuff. So that's the lifestyle expenses. So how much is it going to cost for the gym membership, or the golf country club membership, or the RV park dues, whatever that is. So then you take your living expenses and your lifestyle expenses, you add those two together and you have a monthly income goal. And so, one of the things that Marvin does here in the Medicare school, they're going to help you figure out what the number that needs to go in the healthcare column. How much is it going to cost per month to cover your Medicare premiums and those kinds of things. That's one of the biggest unknowns people have going into retirement. So you figure out your living expenses, your lifestyle expenses, your total income need. And so then we have what we would need to start to put together a retirement income plan. We have a date in mind. I want to retire 2 years from now. We have an income number in mind. We need $5,000 a month net of taxes, whatever that number is. Again, there's no right or wrong answer, but once we get the answers to these questions, then we can start to build a retirement income plan that works for you.